And then you can save study sets, but they're always going to be applied. So, and then, I changed my ticker. It still shows moving averages. Audio working. Let's see. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Okay. So it looks like audio is working on YouTube, not video. That's kind of interesting. So I guess while we wait for some of the issues to kind of be resolved here, but obviously, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Engineering Markets. It's going to be a little difficult to discuss some of the topics without video. So, barring maybe a little bit of general conversation, we can maybe go over some very simple ideas. But let me see how to pivot here. It's a little bit of a surprise. Let's just kind of go over our earnings. That way, a lot of these are just numbers or some of the bigger names we can kind of cover. So first things first, we did have a major healthcare player, Johnson & Johnson. And as of yesterday's trade, I'm going to be looking at the option open interest and some of the expected move from yesterday. JNJ was pricing about a $4.5 expected move. This morning, if we're looking at the reaction, it does appear to be a little bit of whipsaw around yesterday's close. What I'm noticing right now is that we did express $4.5 of upside on the initial earnings reaction, but as of now, it looks like it's selling into probably the lower boundary. Looks like some video is starting to come up here. Yeah, just making sure the clarity is there. Okay. So we're getting some thumbs up. So it looks like we're kind of back online. I'll probably quickly cover this, kind of wrap this up, and then I wanted to go into some earnings play and how to strategize around earnings. I don't know if I'll have enough time with the remaining component, but I might also push a little bit into pre-market prep just because of the delay. So as I was mentioning, JNJ did expect about a $4.5 expected move. For those unfamiliar, we always look at the option chain to get an idea of how much risk is baked into that particular ticker. And what the option market predicted was that through this binary event, we should be seeing somewhere about $4 to $5 of volatility. JNJ also closed about 168.30 yesterday, so that means on yesterday's session, we should be seeing these roughly at the money straddles, which is a call and a put, priced out at about 4 to 4.5, and that does appear to be true. So what you'll notice here is while J&J moved and certainly can be traded actively as the price is fluctuating, an earnings trade, even one that's using like a straddle, so far is not really looking at a high degree of profitability, simply because the expected move is what the market expected. And a straddle, especially a long straddle, wouldn't necessarily be able to capitalize on that. The volatility itself is fairly concise with what the option market predicted the previous day, and therefore the volatility will start to contract. So long as price stays in this region, ultimately a long straddle would be a losing strategy in this particular ticker. So when it comes to earnings, one of the things you'll recognize over time is that it's not so much about getting just the direction right. You're often trying to figure out how accurate is the market in pricing the volatility of the move itself, regardless of the direction. So I figured for today, one way you can see this is by looking at a historical example. And the most recent name that we've had is Netflix. It's good to look at this from the lens of a couple of different time frames, because ideally someone could be playing into the earnings but not actually experiencing the earnings reaction. So for the most part, what they're doing is playing volatility continuing to rise and seeing some sort of profitability as the volatility is expanding. You can also play the actual move, which once again tends to be quite volatile and often binary. There's not really a lot of control that you have as an option trader until the market is once again open on the following side. So depending on when the earnings report, you're kind of at the mercy of not only the move, but also what's happening before the market opens, whatever the sort of price reaction happens to be. You know, it can continue, sometimes it can fade, and we can basically stay inside of a pretty well-defined volatility box. And then last but not least, you can play after earnings. The idea is pretty simple. You think that the market is going to price this particular asset higher or lower. And while you recognize that the volatility is going to be high into the earnings event, you might take advantage of some of that volatility to basically be long or short biased, along with things like straddles and strangles, but 1 week out. The 1 week giving you enough time for the market to actually move outside of the earnings reaction, you know, just normal price volatility. So I wanted to show this example through Netflix. And one thing we can use here are multiple time frames. As I mentioned, Netflix has reported, and we sort of know what the reaction is so far. We know that Netflix has finally filled up its earnings gap back in April. You can see this line marked here. This was the actual earnings gap fill, which I think is inaccurate on my chart. Sure is. 348. Don't know how that got changed. But basically, this whole region has been quite contentious for Netflix, and this particular earnings reaction has actually completed that gap fill. It's, you know, completely filled at this point by price activity. So prior to earnings, Netflix was trading relatively strong. It was fairly bullish. It's in the communication sector that has been one of the lead performers this past year, or this current year. In fact, if we're looking at just the past month of performance so far, communication will stand out as the leader. If I can get this, load that monthly. So, you know, stocks like Meta, stocks like Netflix, we've had some strength returning to all of the service providers like Disney and Roku. You know, those types of names have all been boosted, not only from Netflix earnings, but just the general relative strength of the communication sector. So prior to earnings, you might be looking at this as an opportunity. Maybe the market sees something continued upside in Netflix, and you want to be a part of it. But you know that earnings is baked in such a way that you have to avoid volatility risk. You can't just go out there and necessarily buy calls without a little bit of extra time or some clever construction, some spread type construction. So first things first, as we're trading, let's say a week before earnings, about the 12th or the 13th, and I'll just go ahead and bring this out to Friday. Netflix trading around the 330 mark. So this is right, the week before earnings. But the option market is stating that on the earnings week, Netflix is pricing $30 to $35 of expected movement. Now, that's pretty high. The stock is only a $330 product. The market says plus or minus 10% of volatility, and that's going to happen in 1 week. So a plus or minus 10 move in one particular event is pretty high. And with that type of risk, that's very specifically price risk in both directions for the asset, you're going to have to pay. In order to insure yourself, in order to play the actual earnings, you're going to have to pay up. And it's more about the fact that we're leading into a known binary event. As we get closer to earnings, let's say we're looking maybe 2 days out, so the 18th. Come back here, we change it to the 18th. Netflix has pulled back a little bit, not significantly, but you can see even into earnings itself, the lowest close that we saw was about 315, and that was right into the earnings. There was a little bit of a pretty interesting sell-off right before the earnings came out. Now, what you're noticing here is that even though the price has changed, the expected move is equivalent. So as we're approaching earnings, the volatility is starting to increase. And what's interesting about this is now we only have 2 days worth of trade, and yet they're saying in those 2 days, we're still expecting this much volatility. That's important to note because a week prior, on the Friday before, this particular option series had 7 days of trade and still was expecting the same amount. So what's going on is the time value of these contracts are going down, but the volatility, the actual implied volatility, is increasing significantly, so much so that it's countering time decay or theta decay for those familiar with the Greeks. You can really see it if you just price out some of these contracts. Right before earnings, what you'll notice is even if I'm bullish or bearish, in this case, I know the future. I know what Netflix is going to do. A 325 call, something that's fairly straightforward, it's at the money, you're just bullish on the stock, it's going to cost me about $17. And that's obviously $1,700, in option world. It's a lot of money. It's not a cheap play to just go out there and buy a call. If I have no idea what the direction looks like, once again, this is where we get our expected move. I have to be out there buying a straddle. And the option market expects this $32 to $33 move. That's how much my straddle is going to cost, approximately. So these numbers are not necessarily magical in their construction. It's just about what does the market expect, how much movement is priced in, and you'll start to think about when is it actually a surprise. It has to kind of be outside of this region. And as of this particular day, if we assume 325, this is kind of where we get some of our price targets. We talk about the idea that if it's bullish, going to 355 or 360 is amazing. It's a massive 10% move. but it's also what the option market expected. So even if it goes there, the pricing of your contracts will simply reflect a fairly straightforward beat, or it's not necessarily going to be a home run. And what's so interesting is, once again, we know the future. We know what Netflix did. So let's assume we just bought the 325 calls. It's a couple days before earnings, so we're not quite at the close price. But ultimately, we're just kind of saying I'm bullish. I think it's going to be a 350 plus kind of move. And as we can see, the actual earnings day, so the Friday, the highest we went was about 342. Now, obviously, we saw a little bit of a decline, so we'll also look at a 315. But I just wanted to show how, even being a call buyer, what you'll notice is on the day, and I'm going to just basically change the date. As the earnings comes out, the volatility contracts significantly. This call has gone down in value, but this is right before earnings, so the price is dropping too. So I'm having to experience some of the initial price sensitivity right before. And then right into earnings, you'll notice that I paid $16 for this call. Now, on the day, it was extremely bullish. It gapped up, it continued, had a little bit of upside momentum to about 342. And yet here I am with something I paid $1,700 for. The market's only given me back $1,700. I'm basically flat on the trade. Not only that, but I got the direction right. I knew ahead of time, for example, that the stock was going to be bullish. Now, one argument you can make is on the day before the close. Let's say you're waiting right before the market closes. You're paying technically the highest volatility possible. Look at the implied volatility here. It's gone up to 288%. This is a little bit of an extreme example, but this is very common for all stocks. The volatility increases into the event. What you'll notice as well, they're still pricing a $30 move. So once again, time has gone down, volatility has remained the same. They're keeping it high because this is what the event of earnings is expected. So they have to price it accordingly. They have to basically change what those premiums look like to indicate that this is the expected move. Like I said before, you're someone who can see the future. You're buying a 315 call. So not only now are you at the best price because you're sort of buying right before earnings, but you know that the stock's going to gap up. Going into the earnings itself, you're going to see some profitability here. This was definitely a winner. But what's important to note is on the day of the earnings itself, and remember, I'm just playing on the series, all of that volatility starts to contract. So throughout that day, those calls will start to become highly sensitive to Vega and basically the volatility crush that occurs after earnings. Now, I wanted to show this through sort of a chart because a lot of people can kind of see that dynamic over time. Let's see if I can, that would be 315. Just try to copy the ticker name here. Okay. So let me simplify this in this way. Let me take off all the studies. And remember, we're trying to go back to the day of the earnings, so I'll just kind of show the time frame that we're interested in, the 19th and the 20th. Okay, so here's the day of the earnings. Now, what you'll notice here is this particular contract's pretty sensitive to price fluctuation. It's fairly normal. It's highly it's about to expire, so it's definitely on the edge of premium decaying out from the rest of the series. But additionally, even though the stock is higher, and even in the morning when we're looking at about a 335 stock price, remember we bought a 315 to play this particular event. The option market is starting to decrease the volatility exposure, and a lot of this is going to be seen in sort of an underperforming asset like this particular call. The stock rose about $7 due to the sensitivity of it being completely in the money. It's going to have a lot of that dynamic baked in when the price is moving. But throughout the morning, a lot of that decay in the volatility exposure is going to come through in terms of how the premium is priced. And I was trying to get a shorter time frame, but see if I can get like a 5-minute. There we go. Just trying to make sure I'm grabbing the right days here. Okay. So, and you'll kind of see that through these bigger shifts in premium throughout that trading session. What's important here is, remember, we knew the price. We knew which direction to choose. And yet, even though we chose correctly, even though the stock expressed all of its expected movement, 315 to 345 is about $30. We only made approximately 30 to 50% on our strategy. And our risk was that the stock didn't go up. The risk was that we were wrong on the direction, or even if the stock went up a little bit, you can very easily see that if we were anywhere lower than this 335 region, this particular play would have lost us money because we paid so much for it. It's mostly about the cost to enter the trade right before earnings. Now, as time is sensitive here, if you're a little bit early or looking at higher strikes, sometimes this plays in your favor, but you have to be correct on the direction. Now, last note here is this is also something you can do in the following series. So one thing you can remember is right before earnings, if you are bullish, being a simpler call buyer, it's still a profitable endeavor, so long as you're right. Once again, the 315s here are fairly highly priced. You're giving it an extra week, so you're letting the earnings pass, and you're expecting follow through. You're expecting more upside over time. As you shift into the next day, that's a very profitable strategy. You were able to get the direction right, and you gave it enough time to basically continue. Especially now that we're seeing follow through, these are basically fully intrinsic. But what's important to remember is some of this volatility creep comes into the next series. It's a little high right before you get into the actual event, and then shortly after it'll drop off, going from, in this case, about 100% IV down to about 43%. So there are ways to maneuver around some of this vulnerability to volatility. And I think tomorrow I'll show this with an upcoming example. We'll use a stock that's about to report earnings just to show what the construction looks like. And it's mostly going to give you a sense of risk or reward. If you're right on the play and you're right about the direction, the thing that you want these strategies to do is be highly profitable. You want the risk to be worth the reward. But as far as cost, you also want to reduce your cost. You want to avoid having to pay for all this volatility. And there's a very simple way to do it. You often want to be selling some of it. So I'll show you a strategy. It's called earnings probability spread that'll essentially construct around the expected move and allow you to reduce your cost basis so that even if you're wrong about the direction, your loss is very, very minimal, often akin to sort of a normal type of long call input type play. And yet, if you're right, you can still see extreme degrees of profitability, especially if you're hitting some of those expected move boundaries, which is often what we see right after earnings. So I'll go ahead and cover that a little bit more tomorrow. As always, trade safe. Stay tuned for pre-market prep. We'll talk more then.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to PreMarket Prep. I hope you're having an amazing morning. Hopefully, you guys had an incredible day yesterday. Good morning, Norm. How you doing today?
Great. Good morning, brother. I'm doing all right. How are you?
Doing good, my friend. Doing good. Guys, thank you for your patience today over on YouTube and also in our chat room as we had some technical difficulties. If we know something for sure is that problems will happen. And today is one of those mornings. Even my stream deck is not working properly, which does not allow me to switch screens quickly and swiftly here. So bear with us as we get through this, and I guarantee I'll spend some time right after this fixing those problems. So,
It's our
guys,
4-year anniversary of our show.
is it
doing
today?
together? Yeah, well, it's this week.
Is this week? Oh
Yeah,
man,
4 years we've been doing this. Still, every once in a while, the gremlins pop up. That's the way it
Oh,
goes.
absolutely. You got to adapt and be able to be flexible. Listen, I think half of the world, if there was no problems, I think half of the world would not have jobs. Problems
Yeah.
will happen.
Oh,
A lot of
yeah.
people are just there
Absolutely.
just to problem solve. That's your job, just problem solve,
Yeah.
right? So thank you guys. 4 years, man. It's been a heck of a ride, that's for sure. Um, Guys, let's get right into it. I'm going to look at some of the stuff quickly from yesterday. I'm not going to spend too much time on it. But we had some pretty good stuff on here, man. We had Wayfair, which was just wild. I did not expect this move from Wayfair yesterday. And as you can see here, this thing just had a nice gap up in the pre-market and not a whole lot of volume. But look at the action you got right into the bell. This was real, real nice. Hopefully, you guys took advantage of that. They didn't do much after this one initial move here in the morning. After that, just kind of went sideways and they didn't have a whole lot going on there. But this move was really nice, guys. 52 to 59 on a stock that normally doesn't do a whole lot. Now they've been on a tear on today's Tuesday. On Friday as well, they had a decent sized day. It's continuing that yesterday also. Here was AMD again, just a lot of things going north here. AMD, same thing. That first hour or so, and very, very nice move towards the top. Then sideways for a bit, but for the most part, had a very strong open, like many of our stocks did. Tesla did not have a huge open, like many stocks, like we saw just AMD and Wayfair had, but these guys just went crazy. They did not look back. They grabbed onto this 9 moving average and really just teared it up all the way to almost 146 here, guys, from 136. So really nice pop here on Tesla. They continue to push higher today. A lot of things pulling back a little bit. So we'll get into that. But I think there'll be some good ones like Tesla to watch again for a second play here. Amazon, guys, I mean, we've seen better. Yesterday, they definitely were not the best stock to watch. They're pretty sideways here for the most compared to the 3 we just saw, and including this last but not least, Apple. Just insane. Another one that just didn't shoot up and went sideways. This thing just, again, just teared up the charts yesterday, grabbing onto this 9 moving average. And look at the move you got here on Apple. So, Norm, a lot of things liking action yesterday towards the northeast here. Hopefully today we can see some more of that. Will be nice. With that said, let's get over to our, and give me a second because this is all manual today. Let's get over to our market pulse.
Yeah, so economic data today, you've got S&P U.S. manufacturing PMI and services PMI at 945. Those are the major pieces of data. As you've mentioned, we've had a couple of pretty big up days last couple of days, and in reality, we've had some pretty big moves up from the beginning of the year. People talking about the bottom is in. We shall see. I have doubts about that personally, but who knows? So we'll see how it goes.
Yep, we will definitely see, guys. All right, heading back to our other screen here, let's take a look at some of the stuff that is in play for today. Control A, Control X gets rid of that, and let's go ahead and bring it at our link here, and we're going to see what's going on with our gap up list. Starting with the HOLO, this thing is up 27%. Doesn't look too pretty here, guys. What is this? Low flow at 9.5?
Yeah, so low float Chinese LiDAR company. They make holographic stuff for EVs. It's not something, it looks a little terrifying to me, frankly.
But yeah. I agree. I think we'll find something better to trade, especially the way this market's been trading, guys. Our usual suspects have been pretty nice, especially yesterday and Friday, some of you on Friday. So I look forward to that to continue. We also got earnings this week and next. So it's just a lot of the stuff that's moving well. We don't need to mess around with these low flow stocks today or ever, really. CANF, so CANF here, initial pop here. I don't like when this happens, guys. You got the initial pop and then you just kind of sell down here. So this is really not in play anymore. Don't look at these numbers alone. It is a low flow stock at 2.7, but it's back to where it opened up was yesterday. So it's just, again, not really in play.
It's an Israeli biotech with some news on a cancer drug and some preclinical trials, apparently. So, very small float. Be very careful on that.
Yeah, and again, it doesn't even look good right now. Also, sitting on the American Stock Exchange, which
I didn't even notice that.
I didn't notice that until now.
Makes it even worse.
Oh, they trade horrible. There's, again, just stay away from stuff like that. I think the only stuff we trade on there is it the SPY? Yeah, it's a SPY, right? I think only ETFs are worth looking at, popular ETFs on the American Stock Exchange. Other than that, stocks or companies are sitting on this American Stock Exchange that they trade horrible for the most part. Let's look at Lyft. Lyft here getting a move up 3.5 right now, 244,000. Man, they've been on a nice little run here the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, they got an upgrade this morning out of KeyBank, overweight from sector weight or equal weight, and they've got a price target at $24. So, not the greatest trader of all time, but who knows? Maybe it's
maybe today, right? I mean, look at Wayfair surprised the heck out of us yesterday. We had her on the list because we thought maybe today would be the day, and it sure was. So that was nice. Here is Lyft, who added to our secondary list. Pre-market, not that much action, but that's typical pre-market activity for these guys. Let's see if that can pick up at the market open. Here is Sumo, SUMO, and lower price. Look at the day yesterday. Had a man from 780 to 10 with 10 million shares traded. Let's see how. Oh, where's my oh man, I don't got my garbage truck with the stream deck. It's not working today. All right, so no garbage truck for this one, but man, this is no.
Potential buyout interest on this ticker has made it move in recent days, but yeah, fun might be over there.
Yeah, run from to like that, guys. So no good. Let's head on down to what's gapping down. MMMM. So 3M. I know they were the earnings today, right?
Yeah, they had earnings.
Yeah, it's it's one of these tickers that it can do something. I'm not a big fan, but I will put it here because I know some people are going to throw it out in the chat if they don't see it here. If they come in a little bit later, so we'll put it on here. We'll come back to it. It doesn't trade well, so it's one of these stocks I usually stay away from. Let's look at Mara. Mara this morning pulling back a little bit here, down 4%. A big day yesterday, but again, the few times we've seen Mara and Coin do something decent or interesting, the whole entire market is doing something amazing, like Apple, right? I mean, look at Apple yesterday, right? So when you have something moving so clean like that, and so many other ones, AMD, Wayfair, it's hard to look at a Mara or a Coin. So I'm not a big fan of Mara and Coin. I think they're they're doing some stuff on the daily. Look at the intraday action on Coin yesterday, and look how brutal this is. I had it on my secondary list, and even then, look how nasty this is. It's just not worth it at times to put this stuff on here, guys. So I like the pre-market on Coin. I do agree here. We're getting a little bit toppy on 56. So maybe today we can get one of these really nice clean days. Let's give it the benefit of the doubt. We'll put it as a possible for now. We will come back to that. DHR, no, this is so thin on volume. The spread is $1 plus. No good. Let's head down to one of our buddies here. AMD is down 2.8. They report next week. Anything dropping this stock today, Norm?
AMD, AMD, absolutely. They got a downgrade this morning. That was out of Bernstein. Market performed from outperform, lowered their price target to 80 from 95. So it's had a pretty big run recently too. Obviously, we know semiconductors have been just throttled over the last couple of years, really. And so their pop-up being met with a downgrade, not real great.
Yeah, agreed. Guys, I like the volume in AMD this morning so far, so that looks good. Let's add that to our list there. Let's take a look at Riot. Riot's probably one of the worst tickers to look at compared to Coin and Mara. I think Coin is the best out of all of them. This pre-market action continues to get pretty nice here. So let's see if that can give us some opportunities today. Again, bouncing off 56 there. So let's head down to VZ is Verizon.
Yeah, they had earnings.
Another one that, again, they're not a great trader, intraday trading ticker, so they're in play today. I'll put it here next to 3M. Again, there's some notable earnings that are coming out here. So we got Verizon, we got 3M. They are in play. We'll come back to those. Let's look at This is Unity Software. Not looking great, guys. Light on volume, just barely making our gappers list here. So again, I don't see anything explosive here. Yesterday, again, they had a great day yesterday, but almost everything did. So can't give them too much credit for that. Let's put it to the side for now. Here is Lucid, one that we haven't looked at in quite some time. Big pop yesterday with the whole entire market. Today, they're gapping down 2%. They got decent volume, 433. Again, lower price now after they've been dropping so much the last couple of months. I'm not sure. Unless there's any news, Norm, I don't think I'm going to add
really
this.
Seeing anything interesting coming across the wires on it, and it was not on there a few minutes ago, so I kind of at a loss on that one. If anybody sees anything, throw it out there. Yeah.
So not a fan of it right now, guys. We'll just leave it to the side for now. Let's look at Shopify. So Shopify, I had this on my secondary list. Did not look how this thing traded. Let's take a look here. Again, one initial pop and then sideways for the most part of the day yesterday. A little pop towards the end there. Again, just a tough ticker to trade. They did have earnings. They gap up pretty good. They ended the day nicely, right? So if you look at the daily, sometimes you see, oh, wow, it's a great green candle here. But if you look at the insides of this thing here, you can see it wasn't great, right? You had a lot of sideways action here with just two real decent moves with, again, what sometimes can be very light volume. All right, so only AMD I really like out of this entire list. There's a lot on here, guys, but not a lot that looks great. There's a couple that are on earnings today, a Verizon and 3M. That could be some possibles. Again, I'm not completely scratching these off, but they could be some good possibles if they can get going. Norm, anything you like on your end this morning?
I'm still looking, man. It's a little bit of a weird day after the couple of trading days we've had, so still looking.
Yeah. Are there some analysts that you will pay more attention to? I think that there are a couple of reputable names, right, Norm? That you will look out for.
I was going to answer this question because it was asked over on YouTube. Have you ever analyzed how analyst targets are hit following their upgrades? You got to remember something, guys. When an analyst, the price target is just about meaningless. You might be able to make a case for some things, but it gets complex. We could spend a whole hour talking about it. Price target generally that analysts put out are a 12-month price target. So by no means is that something, oh, this is going to be this today. Usually it has to do with developments in business, things that they anticipate will take hold over the next 12 months, either to the upside or the downside. It's a 12-month price target. It's almost a meaningless figure for the day. That having been said, they can have some influence. That AMD? That was an interesting one. They lowered their price target from something that didn't seem that far off to even lower to essentially where it is. That's right. Kind of up in the air. But then you also have, which analyst it is, which firm they're with. If you have, been Gates at No Name Capital that they can put out something and maybe it gets picked up and you see it, that's going to have a lot less bearing. When Goldman Sachs puts out an analyst report, it's usually going to have a lot more weight than some of these analysts and firms you've never heard of before. So, you got to take all that into consideration. Usually when I see an analyst upgrade or downgrade, I just consider it as a catalyst, not a positive catalyst or a negative catalyst. I'm not going to try to draw a number that it's going to get to or come to some kind of level because of a price target they get. So just keep that stuff in mind.
Yeah, 100% with that. Guys, let's take it to both of the chats here, YouTube and our friends over in our chat room here. Tesla. So let's look at Tesla here.
Yeah, Tesla's dropping like a rock right now.
Yeah,
whole market really is. So it's about 8:30, and I'm not aware of anything. I'm not really aware of anything that's transpired in the last 22 minutes, but the market's not liking whatever it is.
Yeah. So here you see the SPY pushing down. And usually when you start seeing this type of action, guys, our usual suspects, Tesla. I'm going to add Apple. I'm not sure if anybody threw out Apple yet, but Apple was so great yesterday. I'm going to add that one to the list as well. You can see how beautiful this pre-market action is right now. Also, so NVIDIA is another one. NVIDIA was actually the one that caused our problems this morning. We should short this thing. So it's an update from NVIDIA that messed up our screens here. So we will take care of that. But NVIDIA also dropping down, one of our usual suspects as well. I'm going to put as a possible. I have AMD already up here, which is doing much better, I think, for today. But again, NVIDIA, we know how great this thing can trade, even better than AMD at times. But I do like AMD today, so I'm going to be watching AMD on deck this morning, especially with that downgrade. I don't think that's going to affect them too much because, again, we're like Snorm, as you mentioned, the price is higher than this right now. But it's still a negative, catalyst per se. So let's see here. Yeah, Michael, I agree. NVIDIA does look good. You can go with either one, 100%. Microsoft earnings is 11:30. That's a weird time for earnings.
No, it's not.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I found that weird. But they do have earnings today at the close, right? Or am I?
Who said that?
This was Indy. Earnings at 11:30. No, I don't think so.
No,
after hours.
Microsoft, yeah, they don't release earnings during hours.
Yeah, after hours. So today, after hours, Microsoft will be in play. So this will be in play tomorrow as well. Today, I'd rather watch one of our usual suspects. I think this right now is just moving with the overall market. You might get some action towards the end of the day here. People trying to anticipate what's going to happen on it. Again, be careful with that type of trading, it's really gambling because you have no idea how the market is going to react. Even if you think the numbers are going to be positive, the guidance is going to be a positive one. The stock can whip up so high or so low and get you out of your position or put you in a tough position before it comes back to your thesis here. So just be careful trading earnings. I know Jai was talking a little bit about this earlier today. Just be very careful on how you trade these guys. You have to know what you're doing. GE, let's take a look. GE has earnings, right?
Yeah, they had earnings.
Had earnings.
Company to trade it is just,
it's brutal, man.
I'd rather slam my hand in a car door.
It's a brutal thing to trade here. So again, I'd rather watch Apple, Tesla, or AMD that have no earnings, that will be moving with the market and have the volume they have now, which is trading very well. So again, today we could definitely be wrong. GE's pre-market action looks good. They got 1 million shares traded, but I still think
no, it doesn't. I watched that drop at 8:30, between 8:30 and 8:40ish.
This one here,
it was moving ridiculously. Like, there's not liquidity in it. It just ugly stuff.
So no good for me, man. All right, so Tesla is good, guys. We have that on deck. Let's see what else we have going on here. Wayfair, you know what? I don't know. I think the fun was great yesterday. I don't know if Wayfair can continue to trade like this, right? Like it did yesterday. I did not see how it did on Friday. But this is not how the stock normally trades, and I don't think this is going to continue. You don't have the volume this morning like you did yesterday, so I'll be very concerned if you're going to get the type of action or anywhere near what you saw yesterday, right? So again, just be careful here if you're looking for a secondary play there. I will wait for it to hit the scanners. If it hits the scanners, it's worth taking a look at. So we know that. Eyes on the scanners this morning to see if they make an appearance there. Tesla will have earnings tomorrow. Yeah, Tesla will be in play today, tomorrow, next week, and the week after. This stuff is
almost every day.
It's
with or without earnings. It'll be wild with earnings though.
I was seeing some posts online that with the earnings tomorrow, it could either hit 200 or slam to 100. So we will see. It's gonna be wild. I'll tell you that much. Tomorrow on earnings. Piton, last one, and then we'll head over to community events and announcements. No, there's nothing happening here, guys. Very light on volume. This stock used to trade okay, not even great, okay. And now after it's been under $15, $20, hasn't been a great ticker. Very light on volume for the most part. And a lot of this move here, we're seeing this on many other tickers are trading a little bit better, right? So I prefer to watch something else. I don't see any action this morning unless you have some news. Oh, I want to see what's going on here, guys. Last one, Baba. Then we'll go to announcements. What's Baba up to today? Man, Baba's maintaining. I mean, it hasn't sold off. It's been managing to stay here, man. To stay up closest 120. It's an interesting one, but I don't see anything great on it right now. But it's definitely interesting. I'm gonna put it as a pause. I want to come back to it and see what we have there. It's been really, really strong and actually holding. So very nice. All right, guys, let's get over to our community events and announcements. We'll come back and fine tune this list.
Absolutely. Every Monday night, Onboarding and Technology with Carlos. It's at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Be sure to check it out, especially for newer members. Mike also helps out there, so thank you, sir. On Tuesday, we have strategy. Tonight, we've got Paris at 8 p.m. talking about reading the tape. This is a huge webinar. Be sure to check that out. I'm sure it'll be well attended. Paris, an awesome trader. So then next week, we've got Megan. That time needs to be fixed. If you could fix that tomorrow, Carlos, that would be fantastic. I think it's correct on the site now. 8 p.m. Eastern. Optimize goals for your performance to reach your trading goals. That's Megan tomorrow, next Tuesday. Then on Wednesday, we've got Randy Howell at 8 p.m. talking about keeping emotional control when the money is real. Obviously, trading real money, especially if you're moving from sim, can be quite daunting and change the whole game completely, so be sure to check that out. And Dr. Kenneth Reed is going to be talking about Best Loser Wins. It's a book from a trader out of Denmark. He's going to be discussing it and extrapolating what he can from that, so check that out as well next week. Then on Thursday, we've got mentoring at 11 a.m. with John and 8 p.m. with Thor. TradingTerminal.com, where we are assembling a one-stop shop for active trading tools. We've got scanners. We've got sorry, we've got the replay simulator, you've got earnings info there, and the newest feature, the insider, which we will pull up and show you, whether it be now or in a moment. Replay simulator there, awesome, great, good news coming that way here very shortly as well. You'll have some interesting stuff to see. Can you flip? Do you not have the other page on this, Carlos?
No, yeah, I do. It's just it takes me a bit now without the stream deck. Give me a second. I'm pulling it up on the other screen now.
Okay. Yeah. So the San Diego event, March 2nd and 3rd, 2-day event, live trading in San Diego. Be sure to come check us out at the Hard Rock Hotel. It's a full 2 days, as I mentioned, live trading, but we're going to have strategy discussions, a panel conversation, psychology. We're going to have special guests. We even have entertainment at dinner. So all those things together, be sure to come see us in San Diego, March 2nd and 3rd. If you haven't booked that ticket, do it soon, as it is slowly selling out. This is the Insider. It is brand new trading terminal, just launched within the last couple of days. Very cool here. So you get all kinds of stuff. This is retail. You'll be able to see what's being discussed and the sentiment from Wall Street Bets on Reddit. So that word cloud on the left, the larger, the more it is spoken about, and then the color will determine, or the color is determined with AI by sentiment in there. You can also, a different way to track it over on the right-hand side. Then if you go down a little bit, of course, we know the only people that can trade as an insider legally are politicians. So you'll get a whole bunch of info on politicians. Oh, I see Pelosi there. They have quite the track record.
We're in the wrong business, man.
Yeah, we are in the wrong business, man. It's only thing you can do. You can become worth $100 million while you make $100,000 a year, and live in one of the most expensive places in the world, if not country, if not world. Yeah. So. Anyway, you can see what the politicians are there, what they're trading, and then at the bottom you got fund managers and other insiders that you can see that not only the individual investments but also the sectors that they're getting into to see what kind of edge you might be able to get out of that. So if you're watching on YouTube and you haven't been in the room, use the promo code PreMarket34 when you check out for the intro membership. That's 7 calendar days, 5 trading days in the room. It does not auto-renew. It's a one-time payment, does not recur, so check that out if you'd like to be in the room. And then the Elite Annual, still half off. If you'd like to become an annual membership and gain access to all the webinars we were discussing, use a promo code WINNER50 to get half off that Elite Annual.
All right, Norm, thank you very much for that. Okay, excellent, guys. Let's get to our list here. We don't have a lot, actually. I have AMD.
Yeah,
I have Tesla,
it's kind of a weird.
Apple.
I'm getting a weird feeling to the morning.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. This is all I really like right now: AMD, Tesla, and Apple. And I can move Nvidia up, which is again just all usual suspect stuff at the moment. There's nothing out here sticking out that looks interesting right now. You got Verizon and 3M, which have earnings, so those could be interesting as well. But I think just the overall market is going to dictate a lot of what happens today. So I'm not going to mess around with these two when I know they don't trade that well, when I can have other ones like Tesla, Apple, Nvidia, AMD that are going to do some pretty cool stuff there. I do like BABA today. Again, I'm going to move this one up. It's more of a possible, but since we do have space here, I don't want to just jam my list with everything that is our usual suspects. I'm going to bring this up because this could be interesting today if we do get a sell-off here down into this range. So let's see what happens. But for the most part, that is my list, guys. I'm going to do levels for this. If you guys have questions, since we do have a little bit of time left, throw them out there. Norm and I will get to them, and we can answer anything as we go through here. And if you see something that looks great,
if you see something, say something, right?
Yeah, if you see something, say something. Absolutely. That's from the New York trains. Yeah, absolutely. You wanna say something. All right, let's look at AMD, guys. AMD, high of the pre-market, we have 75.65. The low is right here trying to hold at 74.20, being tested a couple of times. Not sure if that is going to hold there. We do have 72.65 as well. Good area of resistance here. And then towards the bottom, guys, highs and lows for the last 2 trading days. So that's looking pretty good there. I don't think we need to add anything. Maybe one more level towards the top on AMD. Other than that, I think you are set, guys. Don't got to go crazy. Very clean levels here. on this one. Very, very straightforward. Carlos, what levels do you choose for your 5-minute ORB? Not sure what you mean by what levels do I choose, because I choose the levels just like I did now, right? Off the daily. And then when the market opens, we will see how that plays out. I do want things to stay close to the VWAP. That's very important. And I don't want it to get too extended. But as far as levels, that is what we're looking at. They're the ones which we're placing right now, right? Tesla, for example, we have here low of the pre-market right now, 140.64. The high of the pre-market is 146.48. Yeah, it's much higher. I'm still going to keep this here, though. I think this is still a good level right above the previous day close, right? We tested that a couple of times. So I'm still going to keep that there. And then all the way up here, we have 146.45 is our high of our pre-market. We also, in between there, we got the highs from yesterday right around here. This is 145.39. So I think you're pretty set when it comes to that. So we'll see towards the bottom. I want to mark one more level here because our highs and lows of the last 2 trading days are pretty far down, as you can see, over to 135 and lower. So 137.52 is a good area there, as you can see on the daily. JNJ, yes, another one that had earnings today. Another one that I don't like very much. Again, these tickers, man, they just JNJ, Verizon, 3M, intraday trading. This stuff, it's brutal. Even if you guys remember when J&J came out with the powder issue they had, remember that? It was a big deal.
When they gave people cancer?
Yeah, they were giving people cancer, and I think they got away with it. Did anything even happen? I mean,
yeah. They had lots of stuff happen.
Did they get slammed?
Yeah, they got smoked on that.
But
then they had the vaccine stuff too.
Yeah, and they still traded horrible. And even with the vaccine, that's major news.
Yeah,
and they still traded horrible. So I just have no faith on J&J is going to trade good. And if it does, it's going to be 1 in a million. I'd rather take my my attention somewhere else, guys, right? And again, that's just the way me, Norm, and other traders trade. You could trade completely different, and J&J could be like the best things for you since sliced bread, right? But it's not for me, that's for sure.
It's a stretch.
I know. But it's just not for us. So yeah, let's take a look at Tesla. We're set on levels there. Great volume, man. This thing is gonna be wild today and tomorrow. Cannot wait. Here is Here's Apple. So Apple this morning, low of the pre-market, we're sitting at 139.59. The high pretty much for the previous day close. It's just slightly above, not by much, 141.21. And then once you put those two levels, and you don't even need to really put the high of the pre-market because the previous day close is the big one right there, you're set. I mean, you're surrounded by levels here. I don't think you need to add anything else. And what a great trader this was yesterday.
Yeah, I don't know if there's anything you can do about it, but your camera is frozen.
Oh, I look shocked. You know what? I blame it on J&J.
You look stoned and confused.
Yeah, I do. I blame it on J&J, man. Talking about powder and all this stuff. Yeah, guys, the system today is running on fumes. Our system over here. So we will see if we can fix it. Let me see. Refresh. No, that's not working. Did it move? No, it still didn't move. Let me check one more thing, guys. If not, we'll leave it alone. Yeah, no, I don't know what's happening. Okay, we'll leave it there. So that's Apple, guys. Nvidia this morning.
Just put your picture up. It's better.
Which one?
The one you had.
Yeah, no, now I can't get it back. I should not try to reset it. Yeah, it was. Yeah, what should left it. Yeah, it's not coming back now. Oh, let me stop doing that. I'm getting errors. All right, let's stop messing around. All right, guys.
Don't want to catch your system on fire.
Yeah, exactly. Nvidia here, guys. Moving pretty well. Low off the pre-market today, 188 right now. Might break through that pretty shortly here. Towards the bottom, we do have a level here, 182. The big one is going to be over here at around, what's this, 177, 178, 177, 75 looks like. So big level there of support and resistance. We'll see how this plays out. Again, everything moving with the market right now. I think once you put this level here, don't really need to add anything. Highs and lows for the last 2 trading days, doing a pretty good job. Let's take a look at BABA. So this is one that's, again, not really in play. Volume is a little bit light, but I do like their setup today. I like how they're sitting here as far as the ranges we have. We have this tight range here between 120 and 118. and we broke out of this not so long ago, 3 days ago, this other range that we had, and we just been crushing it on BABA. So definitely want to see what happens here, especially if we're going to get a market breakdown. Is BABA going to fall back into this 116, 114 range? That would be a nice short if we could take advantage of it. Love the pre-market right now sitting at 118. And all I did, I just marked down 116.60 and 114. I think that's all you really need. I don't think this thing is explosive enough to do its own thing and get above 120 if the market is going to continue to sell off. So that's what I'm looking for on BABA. So, and then as we mentioned before, we got some possibles here. Lyft could be a good one. Coin, I like the pre-market action, but man, it disappoints so often. I'm gonna leave it here as a secondary, and I have BABA twice, so I'm gonna remove it from this bottom one down here. All right, guys, we could get to some questions. Got a couple of minutes left. We have Neo. Neo actually was it yesterday or no? It was yeah, it was yesterday. Had a big move yesterday. I did not trade it yesterday, but did have a big move here on Monday. So you can't tell much by the pre-market action, guys. You really got to wait for the market open on Neo to see if it's going to give you something. And again, I wouldn't. It hasn't been great. I wouldn't give this too much credit because everything was doing this, right? You could have traded anything yesterday, and you would have either had it in an explosive move like this or one like Apple where it's just trended the entire day, right? So either way, it would have been you would have had a better move opportunities on other tickers. So today the volume is 729,000, which is very good for Neo. I just don't know if they're going to trade well. I think the market will determine that after the bell this morning. CCL, no, I haven't looked at CCL or NCLH in a while, right? Yeah, they're really not in play, guys. So I think today you'll find something much, much better. Carlos, could you give a look at VZ? It has volume and gap. Yeah, this one we were talking about earlier. If you missed it, again, Verizon, 3M, they just trade brutal. We talked about JNJ. If you heard that conversation, same thing with Verizon. Even on earnings, even when they have major news, they're just not a great intraday trading stock, right? So I have it here because I know people are going to bring it up. But not something I'm going to be watching.
Verizon's a over 4 billion share float. Generally, something like that. There's one indication it trades on NYSE. It's in a utility type industry. These are all strikes against it for not saying there aren't days it can't move, but those things all tend to go against it
yeah. And it's not just Verizon, guys. You got AT&T. You got all these, like you said, all these utility companies. They just don't trade well. Rarely do we see this stuff that trades really good in that field. Chris MC saying Verizon not fun to trade. Yeah, you've been with us for a while, so you know, it's one of these tickers that's just not fun. Amazon was pretty bad yesterday. Yeah, it was pretty choppy, but Amazon. Even though it was very bad yesterday, it's still one of the stocks that can trade, very, very well. For the most part, they have better days when the market is moving the way it moved yesterday. And maybe it was because they had such a big move the day before, right? Maybe a lot of that was baked in already here. Who knows? But, this is a stock that can still give you some good action. And if you have a list like we have now where things don't look great, you can add this to your list as well, which actually is not a bad pre-market action right now. Volume starting to come in 2.7. We would need to see some more drop here. It could be a good one. Yeah, let's see what our moderators are watching here this morning, guys. We have Mike, we have Susan, we have Thor so far. We'll wait for a couple of more. We'll go over that list. What is a stock down? Why is a stock down sometimes when earnings come out positive? It could be the guidance too. It could be the guidance, and also it could be positive, but maybe not what they expected, right? So it could be so many things, and it could just be randomness, like just for no reason, right? Overreaction or something. It could be so many different things. So this is why playing earnings or trading on earnings before they are released and without seeing what the market how the market's going to react is gambling. I mean, you're straight gambling, because even if the numbers are going to be positive, the market could still not like what it heard or how the meeting was.
There could be some piece of information in there that has nothing to do with the numbers that could be problematic.
Yeah. So it's, again, just be very careful, guys. Well, there's not much to recap on Tesla right now, Pet Doc. I mean, this thing is just we know it's going to be on fire today. Actually, I got think these levels are messy. I'm going to remove them. They're messy. Let's do this again. Low of the pre-market 140.64, and then I'm just going to do my high of the pre-market over at 144. Actually, no, that's not the high. The high is higher. It's going to be up here. There we go. That looks much, much better. It looked a little bit messy earlier. But you're stuck between the highs and lows right now. It is just active, guys. 5.2 million. Look at the move we're getting here. The low is 140. Your high is 146. So already you got a $6 range on this thing. I mean, it's just wild how much this thing can move. They're coming up on earnings tomorrow. Is it pre-market or after hours tomorrow?
Yeah.
Let me Tesla. Is it
earnings after hours? It's always after hours.
Okay, so tomorrow's going to be just insane. But again, it's a stock that's been heavily in play. They've been getting a nice little bounce here off the 101 they hit. So just be careful with it, guys. You need to give this a lot of room. You got to size accordingly. That's the most important thing on Tesla. And yeah, it's been in play for quite some time now, right? Just the sheer volume you're getting here is incredible. So, but with all that said, guys, it is not an easy stock to trade. I'll tell you that much. It's not an easy stock to trade. All right, Lucid. Yeah, we looked at Lucid. Doesn't look great today. Neo doesn't look great neither. Let's take a look at our moderators list. So let's bring this over. I'm gonna resize it. If you haven't done so already, guys, hit that thumbs up over on YouTube. We appreciate it very, very much. Sitting at 152 likes. We'd love to get just 48 more. Get us above 200 will be really nice. All right, let's bring our moderators list. Let's disable this video, and we can bring this over here today. Okay, here we go. All right, excellent. So let's see what our moderators are watching. We'll see what else comes in. We have Mike watching Tesla, Nvidia, and JNJ on earnings. Susan, we have Tesla, AMD, and Amazon. Thor will be looking at Tesla, GE, Microsoft, UPST, and XOM. So that's what we have so far. Wait for Brian and some others to throw out their tickers here, and we will call it a day, guys. Thanks, Melanie. Thanks, Rob. Thanks, guys, for always joining on YouTube. Appreciate you guys very, very much. CFC, thank you, guys. Much appreciated. Did I miss anything here? Oh, there it is. Paris coming in with Tesla, AMD, Amazon, Apple, and GE for his list.
Tesla's on fire despite the market being pretty weak this morning.
It is, man. It really is. So, yeah, Tesla. I mean, look at it. It looks like the market is open on Tesla. Like if I hide the times here and I'll tell you, hey, this is 9:30. I'll tell you this is 9:30. What?
Pretty normal for them.
Yeah. It's just
especially
crazy,
the last
crazy
month.
Yeah.
Few months.
So, looking really good here, guys. Volume continues to pour in, 5.3 million. And it's just down 1.3, not down a whole lot. I mean, this thing can be green in no time. Yeah, it's going. BXRX. Did we look at I thought we did look at that BXRX, Joe.
I don't remember looking at it.
Let me see.
But we're running out of time here, brother.
Oh shoot, yeah. Let me wait for Brian to throw his list here, and we will call it. Is Brian in? Brian, yes. Okay, we'll wait for Brian, and then we'll call it. All right, there we go, guys. Here is Brian's list. He's looking at Tesla, 3M, Coin, Nvidia, and BXRX for fun. And yeah, so guys, take care, trade safe over on YouTube. We appreciate you guys very, very much. BXRX for fun. Low flow stock here. Be very, very careful, guys. But yeah, trade safe, guys. And we will see you all tomorrow, 8 o'clock with Engineering the Markets, and then 8:30 with Norm and I. So have a great one. Thanks for the likes, guys. 207. Appreciate that very, very much. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good one.
Take care, guys. Trade safe.